Welcome back, everyone. Look, if you're managing capital or looking at the long-term tech horizon, you already know the AI race is basically the single most important macro trend of our decade. But while everyone else is hyper-fixated on the next big software update, we're tracking a massive physical shift. So in today's explainer, we're mapping out China's rapidly compounding advantage in the global AI hardware market. We're going to look directly at how they're leveraging their deep manufacturing roots to capture that final gadget in the consumer's hand, and crucially, why that matters for the entire future of AI dominance.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. 1. The hardware pivot. 2. China's manufacturing edge. 3. The device explosion. 4. The rapid feedback loop. And 5. Real-world viability.
Section 1. The hardware pivot.
So right now, the US holds a commanding, pretty undeniable lead in AI software, models, agents, the whole shebang. That's where the battle's been fought over the last few years, right? But as an investor, you got to look at where the puck is going, not where it is. And China's target? It's incredibly clear. They are pivoting aggressively toward AI hardware and devices. They're basically trying to close that software gap by dominating the physical touchpoints, literally from the chips to the factory floors, all the way down to that final gadget you hold in your hand. Moving on to Section 2, China's manufacturing edge. Now, their whole strategy really crystallizes around one core truth. China is fundamentally a nation of manufacturing. While today's competition is entirely focused on, who has the absolute smartest software or the most capable digital agents, that battlefield, it is inevitably going to shift to physical devices. And because China has this massive manufacturing infrastructure already built and just humming along, they can rapidly prototype, produce, and deploy these physical shells for AI way faster than almost anyone else. They're essentially leveraging a legacy strength to leapfrog right into the next phase of the AI cycle. And this brilliantly illustrates Section 3, the device explosion. 70. I mean, that is just a massive number. To put this into context, Meta has successfully sold millions of its own AI glasses worldwide. Well, the Chinese tech sector noticed that success instantly. So right now, as we speak, there are more than 70 Chinese companies actively creating direct competitors to those AI glasses. This isn't just one or two rogue startups tinkering in a garage. This is a broad, systemic push across an entire ecosystem to capture what is a rapidly expanding addressable market. Let's look at how this sector breaks down to see how major tech giants are actually embedding their own proprietary AI into very distinct, highly specialized hardware categories. You've got companies like Inmo and Rocket producing smart eyewear that's actually selling overseas right now. Then you look domestically. Giants like Xiaomi and Alibaba are creating devices found only in China, totally embedded with their own tech. And then Tencent and iFlyTech are leaning heavily into translation devices, literally billing their tech as turning locals into, quote, AI foreigners to bridge language gaps. They're really covering all the bases here, from consumer wearables to specialized translation tools, and as we'll see next, some pretty hardcore enterprise solutions. Now, what's really fascinating here is just how incredibly specialized and advanced these physical tools have already become for enterprise use. Take the Alibaba DingTalk A1, for example. This is a device roughly the size of a credit card built specifically for the workplace. It can sit in a huge boardroom and capture audio from up to 26 feet away. And it doesn't just record, it transcribes, it summarizes, and it deeply analyzes the whole meeting. I mean, just imagine the enterprise value of a tiny physical device that acts as a flawless, tireless executive assistant for every single meeting you have. It's a pure B2B play happening entirely on the hardware level. All right, Section 4, the rapid feedback loop. So here is the absolutely crucial point. While people outside of China are still having these kind of theoretical debates about what the future of an AI device might eventually look like, the Chinese domestic market is already saturated with them. They are out in the wild right now. And having millions of these devices actually in the hands of everyday consumers, it creates an unparalleled real-world testing ground. It generates this massive, continuous data feedback loop that goes straight back into making the foundational AI software even better. Let's move on and see how this builds into an absolutely perfect manufacturing flywheel. Step 1. Deploy cheap, accessible AI devices using that massive manufacturing edge we talked about. Step 2, achieve broad domestic adoption. Step 3, those actual users generate a massive real-time feedback loop of conversational data, edge cases, behavioral inputs, you name it.
And finally, step 4, that data flows directly back into the software, creating vastly better AI models. And then the whole cycle just repeats. Look, as an investor, you know for a fact that data is the ultimate moat in AI. So by flooding the zone with hardware, China is essentially crowdsourcing the exact data they need to close that software gap with the US. Which brings us to Section 5, Real-World Viability. Now, to be fair, it's not all perfectly polished just yet. Reporters testing these out on the ground have noted that some of the early iterations are, well, a bit clunky. Using the Tencent and iFlyDeck translation contraption out on the street felt pretty cumbersome. In fact, passersby literally thought the reporter was crazy walking around talking into this thing. But here's the really critical takeaway. Despite looking a bit rough around the edges right now, the real-world speed of deployment is incredibly fast. The setup is remarkably quick. You basically just plug it in. And the real-time translation is shockingly rapid. The public is actually embracing them, actively using them on the street, and pushing right past those clunky form factors simply because the utility is undeniably there. So that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to consider as you model out your future portfolios. We've just seen exactly how China is leveraging its manufacturing roots to create this massive, hardware-driven feedback loop. In the long-term race for true AI dominance, is the ultimate winner going to be the one who builds the smartest underlying software model, or the one who actually controls the physical hardware sitting right there in your hand?